Welcome to the Infinite Rock Builder version 6 guide video. I'm doing a new video with version 6 because I've changed a few things since version 5, and the purpose of this video is just to take you through the controls, the very simple controls, and get you cracking making some shapes. So when you open the file for the first time, you've got a plane on the left here that's using the IRB, and a plane here which I have baked this formation 1. So if I head over to edit mode, there's the baked geometry. It was just a displace with a multi-res, but I baked out this specific formation, and now this can be used in Eevee or taken out as an OBJ. I didn't bake the color or anything, just the displacement. So that's what you're going to see in this window, and then in the shader editor, I'm just going to give a bit more room as we zoom in. This is the IRB. So this is the main control group, which has everything you need. You can do anything you need on the outside. All the controls are right here. And then these are the colors and certain bits and bobs and mixers, but let's go through it bit by bit. So on the main control group, you have self-explanatory, object or UV. I leave it on UV. And then these four here affect the overall displacement. So any changes I make here will change everything down here. So if I go up to 1.5 on the scale, and let's do 1.5 on strength, smaller increments are the other way forward. And the random shape, if you like the formation but you want something different, just put a random shape in and it will just change that specific formation. Okay, I'm just going to Control Z all that. So that's the displacement, overall displacement controls. So here we've got the 20 formations, and from version 5 you had to pick between 1 and 10 and 11 and 20, which meant an extra slider up here. Now I've done away with that. You can access all 20 straight here, which makes mixing a fair bit easier and less button clicks. So yeah, the formation 1 being the default, it only has a strength. You can't select it; it's already selected. So, and I'm not going to go through all of this. Obviously, it's quite obvious. But yeah, so let's look at a couple of formations, and it's just, as I say, simply slide it in or press, give it a value. And again, as you see, any changes up here will affect everything below. Okay, so one of my favoured is 7 and 12. So yeah, that's, as I say, you just mix them in, and this is a chain. So anything that you mix, say if I mix 20, it's going to override everything underneath. So it's in a chain that starts at the bottom and goes at the top. So you add more to the pile. So if I wanted to add some formation 6 into it, nothing's going to change unless I remove some of formation 7. And then you'll see that formation 6 starts to show through the displacement. And obviously, because 7 is there, if I wanted to add in some 9, then, as I say, because it's in a chain that works downwards, that will just mix in with that. So yeah, and with mixing, mix as many as you want. Just, keep playing around until you get a formation you like. And if, say for instance, I'm mixing with 1 as well, I'm now mixing 1, 9 and 12, but I can't see 1 very much. So if I wanted to see 1 formation a bit more, just up the strength, I might give it 3. Okay, might have to do quite a bit of strength there. There we go. So now it's mixed everything, but formation 1 has a large amount of strength, so you can really see it. But I don't want that much strength. Okay, so that's how you mix the formations. A little bit of extra control. Actually, no, we'll do that at the end. Okay, so once you've made your shapes, I'm going to hide that and turn off the overlay. So you've got cliff top flattened. So if you wanted to round off the edge and you wanted to put some grass, we'll make a little shape after this. You wanted the top to be flat enough to have grass, then you would use this. Same again, object UV. Height, you can, again, shift left click everything Otherwise, it's smaller increments do the job. So you can see you can change how high or low that cliff top flatten is. Let's get rid of that. So the ambient dust is based on the ambient occlusion. So if I just give it a lighter color, it should be easier to see. So if I mix in the ambient dust to 1, you can see it's darkened these creases in there. If this is the shape of the ambient dust. So if I can Control Shift click, I can see exactly what that's adding, and this is multiplying over the color, so it's only seeing the black, it's not seeing the white. And if you Control Shift click anything, Control Shift click there, and you'll be back to the main shader. So yeah, that's with full ambient dust, and that's with nada. So I normally have it, I have a bit of it for now. Yeah, it just makes bits shiny, you know, depending on which angle you're looking at. It kind of makes it chalky in some ways, but yeah, that's the, you know, it's the reflection and thing. So I always have that about 0.2, give it a bit of detail. Moss, slide that in, and with version 6 now, I've incorporated a separate bump for the moss. So if I just make this quicker, you'll see that the moss has a different bump to the rocks, so it looks a bit more, it's a bit more separate, if you see there. And the moss is controlled here. You can pick your moss color, and this is screen, so the black is not being showed, it's only showing the lighter colors. In this case is the green. Okay, and then yeah, it doesn't matter which formation you pick, the moss is based on the normal, so it's always going to be on the tops of the formations. Right, might as well leave 12 on, and let me turn off the moss, and let me get my screen back. Right, so we've done the moss bump, pretty obvious. You've got 3. At the moment it's set to 2. Taking that down, defaults bump 1. You're not going to see too many changes until your viewport updates, but you can check which bump by this convenient bump out node right there. So here you can see the bumps. So that's bump 1, this would be bump 2, and that would be bump 3. And again, strength, distance, all there. Why didn't I do that? Top down. Right, so, and again, Control Shift click to get back. If you really want to clean this up and you don't like this long way here, just nip over to the left, to the right, and just Control Shift click that group, and then you're back to normal. Okay, so that's the bump. Now the water level, cover roughness, water level. Cover roughness is all over roughness, which is this color. So if I put that to black, the whole face is now going to be not rough. But obviously you don't want that. So that's to cover the entire formation. If you were going to drop this in, say, a plane of water, or you know, a lake or whatever, just something watery and wet, if you slide to water level mix, you see now that it's just at the bottom here, and that as though the water level is here, and this is all, there's no roughness. The color you can change with this button as well. It's more of a tint than a color change. And yep, same again, object UV, 2D, 3D. This is because if you make, if I show an example, I drop an icosphere in, and as it's a completely 3D shape, this is a 2D plane. I'm just going to link my materials quickly, and so you see on the icosphere, it hasn't a clue what's going on. Where's the water level? So you would switch to 3D switch, and now you see it's at the bottom. And then you can control each one individually using the height here. So you can see it's going up. It's going up. And then back to the 2D, so over to the plane, because I can get rid of that now. You've also got, so yeah, the 2D height is here, so you can figure out where that's the level is. And the softness, kind of contrast. So if you want it a really sharp line, you'd have high values, like 3 or something. Let's put 3 in, and as you see, it's very contrasty. But if you wanted as though the water level has lowered, or lowered over time, you would want the softness down to something like 0.5. you see it's softened it up. That's probably too much. Let's go softness. Let's go 0.8. There we go. So it's just it's not so harsh a line. Okay, so that's roughness. The color filters, let's show you. So this is color 1. Control Shift click that. You can see what it's doing. To edit that, it's color filter 1 here. I think it's based on a Musgrave or something. It can't be a Musgrave. It's got to be noise. So that's color 1, and then color 2 is this one here. Oh, so you can edit all that and all. And then this mixer, let me get back to the main shebang. This mixer will mix these two colors. It will mix 2 over 1. So if this is set to mix, at the moment it's only displaying 1. If I set this to 1, it's now displaying color 2. And if I wanted color 2 to interact with color 1, just change the mix mode, soft light or something, that'll do. And now you're getting both colors. I might make that a little bit lower. And the latest addition to version 6 is the displacement color, or disp color for short, which is here. And this is useful because it's based on the displacement. So you'll get more specific color variations. So if I Control Shift click this, and it's just, I don't know, we'll just make it a garish color for now. No, let's not do blue. A bit of yellow and a bit of, I don't know, green or something. Let's have a look. Bit of green, but dark. Because that is hideous. Okay. So, and then back to this. So, sorry, as you can see what the displacement's doing, and you can see that that is now following the displacement, whereas these two don't. As you see, they're just filters that are over the top. So back to here. Try again, back to here. So now, if I set this to mix, at the moment it's whatever you've got set here. If I mix over the top, I'm now just displaying the displacement color. And again, this is all controlled by here. So if I'm, you know, just like, you know how color ramps work, that's too much. Oof, I've come with very hideous colors, but you can see what's going on. It's following the contours of the displacement, which to me it adds a little bit more realism. I tend to use the displacement color quite a lot. Now, if you set this to black and yeah, and then set this to multiply. In fact, sorry, set this to black, and then I set this one to white, because when you multiply, it ignores white and only displays black. So if I just check this, that's too much black. Just want a little bit. And bring the white forward, like that. Back to the normal jobby. So at the moment it's on mix, but if I put that to multiply, it's only, let me just take that down so we only got color 1. So it's just multiplying over the top. We can make it more obvious or less obvious. You know what I mean? You can see it's as I say, it's effective. A new coloring technique. Okay, if you click on the main control group, each one of these formations has an individual control group within the main control group. So I'm using formation 12, so I've got this selected, press tab, and then here are all 20. So I want to navigate to 12, and now I have even more control. If I wanted to scale something individually, I can do it all here. And all of these groups are, the point is, mess around with them, experiment, see what happens. That's the point. Some of them aren't going to do much, but some of them are going to do a lot. As I say, it's a case of messing around with them. One thing to show you, actually, if I go back to, I'll go to formation 1 because it's quite clear, and the colouring there is gone a bit awry, so I'm just going to go back to normal. So yeah, I want control group 1, and this is new to version 6, horizontal and vertical push, and it just pushes the displacement after it's been displaced. So you'll see here, if I -1 on the vertical, it's pulled it down. So you've got that little bit of extra control, which can dramatically change the look and feel of a formation like that. So that's with the horizontal and vertical push. And yeah, just mess around. I always recommend shift left clicking and sliding, but just mess around with them. You can edit the formations themselves before you even mix them, around. Okay, and then I'll very quickly make a shape to like a cliff face. I need my overlay on. And so what I would do is just add a plane, and this is how I would usually start anything with the IRB. And then I'm going to subdivide that 5 times. I'm going to add a subdivision surface and put that to 3. Okay, and if I wanted to make a cliff face, what I would suggest doing is make your shape, and then if you cube unwrap and then make a shape, it's going to be a mess. You're going to have to unwrap it afterwards again. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I just plop the old rock builder on there, there she blows. So let's say I want a cliff face. So I'm just going to extrude around here, and then what's important is I give it roughly the same amount of geometry as the middle there. And then if I cube project that, mostly because it's a bigger shape, you might have to edit the scale. I'm going to put that up to 3. I like that. Maybe 4. No, actually 3.2. That's nice. Okay, so obviously it's a very flat plane. So start with a flat plane, put the IRB on, unwrap it, whatnot, and then you can edit the shape, and the displacement will follow. So for this, I'm just going to round off the top of the cliff like this, and this is where I would set the cliff top flatten level up to about here, so that this would carry on and I'd have grass. So I've done that, and as you see, because I've already cube unwrapped, because I've already got it in place, it's just following that geometry. I'm going to pick a different formation this time. That looks better. I like that. And you can just pull the shape now, pull the vertices any way you want. And because, as I say, it's already unwrapped, scale's already applied, all of that palaver, you can just move stuff around, grab vertices. And if you're doing a scene and some bits of the rock are in the wrong place and you just want them pushed or out of the way or whatever, you can just move the geometry, and then when we tab back, it's just followed everything, all the changes you make. Okay, I think that's the texture baking. There's already a video, but I'm going to do a new one with version 6. But that is pretty much the IRB in a nutshell. Yeah, I think that's everything. All right, have fun with it. I'll see you next time. Bye.